Guys pod. It's Holden. It's Uncle T. It's JT. And I hope everybody's having a wonderful time, whatever part of the day or night that you're watching this. Now, I was going to tell everybody about my yearly trip to the pumpkin patch because Uncle T was going to chime in on that. But I think we have to start with Uncle T's shirt, JT. Why don't you show us that shirt, Uncle T?
I knew you was going to do that. Yeah, I've got the rock. Go ahead. Keep in mind that your all's boss had a Bushwhackers shirt on the other day on the show, and it got a lot of praise. So before you guys bash Uncle T right out of the gate tonight, which I know you will, keep that in mind. And he might have given this to me, actually. I think he did give this to me. So if you don't like it, you can tell him you don't like it.
You know, it's always interesting at this company when people want you
first, JT.
when people want you to agree with them, they'll throw in that Big T said this.
Yep.
Yeah, Big T gave me this. And First of all, we're not all sycophants. We're not all massive kiss asses.
Nope.
And JT's Big T's not imperfect. JT isn't imperfect either. But
Holden would think different about him, but go ahead.
That's a bold thing for a 49, 50, 51-year-old man to be wearing the shirt of another man. It's like people who go to baseball games with their favorite player's jersey on. It's like, could you be any more of a cuck? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that about you. I'm saying that about, what people say about people who wear baseball players' jerseys. But as far as the shirt itself, look, it looks like maybe you were out at Goodwill one day and they had something that fit you, and it was a couple of bucks, and now you're wearing it. So there you go.
Off to a rough start already. What, Holden? This is your fault.
I mean, it was no, it's not my fault. You came on. No, you said to JT was,
look,
hey,
I know you too long enough. No.
Big T got me a T-shirt.
No.
Ooh.
I've been doing these shows with you guys for 4 years. I know you guys pretty well, and I know you donkeys would have said something anyway. So I thought I would just go ahead and get it out of the way.
And even see it.
Listen, outside of last week when you were wearing a bright orange and white uniform,
creamsicle,
that did look like a creamsicle. I mean, I have never actually looked at what you're wearing in an effort to critique it. I would have never known that you were wearing that shirt if you didn't point it out to us and say, look, Big T got me a slice of pizza and a T-shirt. So
now you're taking it a little too far. Now that was uncalled for. Now that was a little extra low blow there.
Bringing up the pizza
and a T-shirt. Now that was JT. That was a little low. That was a little below the belt.
You said that. You said Big T got you the T-shirt.
As you got your little Winnie the Pooh stuffed animal sitting on your floor behind you.
First of all, it's Quinn's Winnie the Pooh. Second of all, you told us that Big T got it for you as a way to prevent us from mocking you.
Correct.
How do you know that?
Because you thought that if we knew that Big T was involved, that we would shy away.
So you're giving yourself way too much credit. You're giving yourself way too much credit for figuring. Now, I'll segue into something else because you mentioned the orange creamsicle.
We're not done yet. We're not done with this yet.
The orange creamsicle outfit that you guys gave me shit for. My Bengals are in shambles, and I'm going to say I will wear no more Bengal gear of any kind until they win another game. None.
Had you not told us what was on the shirt, all I would have thought was that it was a tip of a penis sticking off the bottom of the.
Okay. Meanwhile, let me take a look at. Let me see what kind of rundown rum-dum shirt you got on. What do you got? Like an old Kansas Jayhawks shirt from back in '75.
The salty wave in North Carolina.
What's that stain on? You got a stain on the top part of it.
Where?
Up here. Like, do you not even wash your clothes?
Oh, looks like a stitch out of place.
That's just a stitch. I got this from my future mother-in-law.
You got it in the imperfect column or the 50. I get it. It makes sense. Yeah.
Cinders got me this. So it looks good. Looks really good. Uncle T, I did want to give you an opportunity to have some fun at my expense. It is my yearly trip to the pumpkin patch. It'll be coming up on Saturday. I'm honestly very excited about it. I love going down the slides with my children. I love the bouncy house. I love the pony rides. there's just so much to do. I love buying pumpkins for my kids, and then we drive over to a parking garage, go to the top of the garage, and throw the pumpkins off the top and watch them explode. There's a lot of fun things to do at the pumpkin patch, Uncle T, and I think you missed out on it as your time as a father of young children.
I mean, I'm not sure where to start with that, to be honest with you. You said there's a lot of things to do at the. I mean,
there's a lot.
I mean, yeah, I'd
You
have
want
to
me
be
to get
here.
the list for you?
I know this show's only an hour long. I'd have to be here for a while to think of anything that I would like to do. I mean, at a pumpkin. I mean, I can think of one thing, but that's a R-rated thing. But Holden, look, I'm not gonna look. I want to get this week off to a good start, good mojo, and I'll leave it with this. I think it's great. I told you before, I think you're a good dad. I said that, I'm not, I said it a little tongue in cheek, but I gave you a little backhanded compliment. I said, you're a good dad to your kids. If you want to take your kids to a pumpkin patch, that's great. All I'm going to tell you is I've got 3 kids and I've never once gone to a pumpkin patch. I've never been asked by my wife to go to a pumpkin patch. So I don't know if that tells more about me or.
I will say this. If your kids have daddy issues growing up, I would blame it on you not taking them.
My kids have never had an issue with me. They love their dad.
Well, of course they love you. There's a radar gun there for baseball throwing.
I mean, Holden loves me.
You wouldn't
too,
like that? Who would not like a radar gun for baseball throwing? Okay. Just saying. There's a hay bale pyramid and outdoor tic-tac-toe. I mean, there's a lot going on.
I got to open what you just sent later
on.
We can't
Football training camp where you practice your skills and outdoor laser tag plus a cow train.
What?
Yeah, it's a cow train. There's a lot of sports stuff and then a cow train.
Cow train?
A cow train.
I've never heard of that.
Well, you're missing out.
I've heard of different types of trains, but not a cow train, JT.
It's not one of those trains.
Can't say that I've heard of one. Of course, I grew up in the city, so
JT's back on my side. Let's go.
Well, it's not a side thing. I just haven't heard of it.
Yes, it is.
Okay, fine.
He never had the opportunity to go.
No.
Who would not want to throw at a radar gun? Who would not want to practice their football skills? Tell me. Who would not want to do all of that and hang out with a llama, a donkey, a pony, and a duck named Affleck? Tell me.
Do I need to take my break early tonight?
Jesus. Sounds
what
like
are you dressing up as for Halloween, Uncle T?
I'll leave that for the show that week, maybe. Our show that week.
What are you dressing up? JT, in all seriousness, do you dress up for Halloween?
He's going as Winnie the Pooh.
I might. It would throw Quinn for a loop. I will tell you that.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Quinn would be humping his dad.
I just first of all, that's the second time you've done this. Quinn is a female, but I just sent you guys the video of what Quinn does to Winnie the Pooh, and I will tell you, Quinn. I don't know if Quinn could drag me around. I weigh a little bit more than the Winnie the Pooh behind me, so we'll see. We'll see what we're gonna. We'll probably don't want to confuse her like that.
You've already told us what Quinn does, which spurred the whole RPS strap-on conversation.
Yes,
I don't feel we should not go down that avenue again.
Do we have it in the store?
We know what Quinn does.
Do we have the utility in the store?
No, it's on its way though. Apparently.
All right, good. There you go.
Pretty excited about that.
So Holden, let me finish my answer on that if I could before we get JT's take on the pumpkin patch. So, in all honesty, so when you get done with the pumpkin patch or whatever that thing's called that you do and go and do all the rides and hay rides and then cow trains and stuff or whatever you said. Yeah. When you get home that night, like the kids are in bed, like does that and then you got you and your lady there, then what happens from there? Like does that give you do you think you got a pretty good chance after a 2, 3, 4 hour, session at the hay? I mean, just
say that, Uncle T. Saturdays around 5:00, I drop the kids off at their mother's house, all hopped up on sugar, of course. And then, yes, we have all the time in the world by ourselves.
Nice. I like that. Okay. So
it's all,
I might be
able
to, not for me. It's not for me, but if that's for you, I'm for it.
I mean, I hear pumpkin patch out of your mouth all times of the year. January, October, July, March.
I'll take it a step further. My wife bought a pumpkin, put it on the front porch like two weeks ago. Like it's like 5 weeks before Halloween.
Yeah.
That didn't lead to a very good conversation when I said, "What the hell we got a pumpkin for?" And it's still in September, so that didn't sit real well with the wife. But hey, I don't hold back, Holden. I call it like I see it. No reason to get a pumpkin for your front porch 5 weeks before Halloween. No reason for it.
I'm totally with you. No reason to send people.
She said they were on sale. I said, "What are you going to save? Like $2 or something by not getting it?" Like I didn't understand it, but she don't watch these shows. I don't think.
This video of your dog, JT, not impressive.
I mean,
all it is a dog literally standing in front of a closet once in a while, biting Winnie the Pooh.
Did I turn the volume on?
Why the fuck did you send me this thing?
It's one of her weaker performances.
Why? Why did you send me his fucking video?
Usually she's a little more aggressive. That was the reason why she caught me taping her. And she was like, "Man, I don't want to go viral."
She didn't catch you taping nothing because she isn't even looking your way. That's a bullshit answer.
You keep watching.
I'm back on Holden's side. This is not impressive at all.
Put your bifocals on, Uncle Rob.
No, I can see it perfectly fine. She's barely even touching the damn thing. Look. Yeah, I'm back on your side, Holden. I'm back on your side.
It's a pug. It's a pug. And it's smaller than that Winnie the Pooh back there.
It's a female, Holden.
It is. And she's going to be pissed because the door is locked. She's about to eat dinner, and she's not going to be able to come in here and get it, Winnie.
How old is your dog?
3.5.
Oh, she's still a baby.
Oh, yeah.
We have senior pets in this house, JT. We've got a 17-year-old, what do they call them? Mega mutt or something? They're like the mutts, and they don't get sick. And then a 16-year-old cat.
How old is that mangy cat? 16?
I just adopted her, a year and a half ago for the kids to help them deal with death.
She's still hanging in there?
She's still hanging in there. Very healthy. Very healthy cat.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. You adopted the cat so it could die? Well,
we're going to give it a very, very nice end of its life. You know, it was either in a shelter or it would be in a beautiful house with loving people, but the thing's not dying anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm back on Holden's side again, 2 in a row. I'm back on Holden's side. I think that's a great thing you did there, Holden.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I like that.
And listen,
I don't like siding with you very often, but
at their other house, one of their dogs ate their guinea pigs. So really, they already dealt with death, unfortunately. And I think this cat's going to make it another 3 years. I really think it's going to hit 20.
Can I bet the under for 100?
I'm not going to bet on the lifespan of a cat, which I'm absolutely only a dog person. This cat's
really
amazing.
16, there's no way it's lasting 3 more years.
Yeah, I think it's going 3 years. It's totally healthy. Totally healthy. It's it'll cuddle with you like a dog. It'll lick you in the face like a dog. It answers to its name. I mean, this thing is it's a dog that's a cat. That's what it is. A dog that's a cat. You hear
what he just said? He said it's a dog that's a cat.
Correct.
Say that again.
It's a dog that's a cat.
We need to clip that. It's a dog, but it's a cat. We got to clip that.
Well, I mean, it's more of a dog than the dog, is all I'm saying. This cat is more of a dog than many dogs.
You better quit while you're ahead.
Including Winnie.
2 segments. I don't know if I can keep on with
Winnie the Pooh. Well, I think you can. From what I understand, Tony your guy, Big T, he's always saying, listen, this is the highlight of Uncle T's week. He can't get enough.
If you guys only knew.
He's upset that I stopped the show early, that we don't go over an hour.
That is true.
You want it to go. You buy him Taco Bell. You won't even eat Taco Bell.
Chick-fil-A. You got to get your story straight. If you're going to
I don't know. There's so much going on.
Recorded there. If you're going to say it, you got to get it right. Okay. Chick-fil-A today.
Okay, Chick-fil-A. But I don't. You eat grilled cheese, right?
Absolutely. Why not?
Why wouldn't you eat a quesadilla? It's the same thing.
I mean, I just don't. What do you mean? Why? I mean, do I have to have a reason why?
If you're going to Taco Bell, why would you not?
I don't go to Taco Bell, so I don't even have a choice to get it. I don't even put myself through it.
JT, you eat fast food?
I do.
What?
I do.
You know what I'll have? A shake from Shake Shack.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that you're one of these health freaks all of a sudden?
No. I eat way too much sugar. But I'm not a big I want good food. I'm not going to eat shitty food. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'll have a cheeseburger about 5 times a year. They're delicious. But I'll say this, the Shake Shack milkshake, nothing like it. Everywhere else, In-N-Out Burger, Totally overrated. Everybody talks about how it's the best ever. It's a fucking hamburger. Okay, it's not great.
Not much on milkshakes. How often do you eat? You said you drink a milkshake every day or whatever?
I'll eat ice cream probably 5 days a week.
Oh, that's right. You're the ice
I'm
cream.
dead pretty soon. It's over.
That's where we differ. I'm not big on ice cream or cake or any of that stuff.
What?
I can eat it, but I'm not real fond of ice cream or cake or shakes or cookies or,
I mean, that's amazing. Where do you go, JT?
As bad as I eat, I don't eat that very often. I can tell you that.
I don't have any one particular place. And I don't do it often. Like you, not as infrequent as you.
Yeah.
Definitely a couple of times a month though. Five Guys is a good burger spot. I like that. I've liked that since first one I went to was in DC. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
I will go to Taco Bell and just get 4 crunchy tacos or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy's on occasion. McDonald's every now and then, very rarely for McDonald's or Wendy's. I'd much prefer Five Guys. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
My
weak spot, Holden, on ice cream. Yeah. My daughter, who gets kind of dad on her side a lot because I give her I wouldn't say I give her what she wants, but I take her. She loves Dairy Queen, so to get ice cream or whatever. So I'll take her there like once a month or so, whenever she would. And I'll grab like a chocolate and vanilla swirl cone, and I won't even be able to get through it. Like I won't even be. I'll get through half of it, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm good.
I need to go on a sugar detox, but it's not easy to do that. But I eat way too much sugar. Where if I didn't eat the amount of sugar that I didn't eat, I would.
Candy's my weak spot. I don't eat that stuff I just said, but I'm a candy person. Yeah.
What kind of candy?
Well, let's see what I got here. You guys see these? Like Swedish fish, sweet tarts.
So this is your diet.
No, I didn't say I eat it every day. I'm saying if I went to candy, that's what I'd eat. I didn't say I ate it every day.
Why is it right in front of you right now, though?
It's on my desk here in my office. What do you mean?
All the time?
Yeah. I got a big container full of like little lollipops too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JT, do you eat sweets, candies, ice cream, cake, cookies?
Out of all that, probably ice cream is the one that I would eat more often than not. I like cheesecake on occasion, and then every now and then I'll have like a Reese's peanut butter cup or a Snickers if I don't have time for a full meal, particularly before a game or something like that. Other than that, not a lot.
You mentioned Snickers and Reese. I don't like them very much either. I don't like chocolate a whole lot either. I'll eat a candy bar like when I'm on like our golf trip and it's like scorching hot out and I need some kind of sweet something. I'll drink water and then I'll put like a candy bar in my cooler.
I just thought of something, guys. So I'm in a neighborhood now this year, and
very proud of you.
I want to make sure the kids don't come back to my house next year because I don't like seeing other kids dressed up than my own. I think I'm going to give them fruit just to piss them off.
I thought you were trying to set a good example for your kids. Why would you do that?
I'm not worried about that. They'll be fine. I think giving the kids fruit, they'll remember to never come back here. Do you give the kids actual candy? Because I'm not giving these kids candy. I really am. I'm going to give them like oranges and
I would say here's what you do, because I remember this from when I was a kid. Give them little bags with like 10 pennies in them, and they'll always skip your house. They'll just always skip your house. It's like, why am I going here?
Pennies.
Who wants 10 pennies?
Who did that? Do you remember the people that did that?
No, I don't remember the people, but I remember it happening.
That's even better than apples. Plus, it's cheaper.
Yeah. Well, but the flip side is when we became a little older, they were the first house that we threw eggs at. So, I mean, there's
you know what, too? You can like throw pennies at someone's house. Ixnay on the pennies.
Yeah.
I'm going back to apples.
I don't think they would throw the pennies, but you would definitely get some eggs.
That's bad karma, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just going to give them fruit. There's nothing worse for a kid than fruit.
Get on the big, oversized candy bars. Don't be a cheap ass. Don't be a cheapskate.
It's not
like
a cheap
I'm in a house now where we don't get many. I'll put a
Apples-
big bucket out there and let them take what they want.
Apples are not cheap, Uncle T.
No, you can't be giving apples. That's so 1980. Come on.
Wow, those sick
Why
bastards.
not just? I mean, if you're going to do that, there's so much effort into being. You put so much effort into being a douche. Why not just turn the lights off and leave the house and then come back like later on?
No, because there's nothing like seeing the disappointment on a child's face.
Okay.
You know, you put the apple in their hand, they're probably going to be like,
Right.
you know, just crush their hopes and dreams. Understand what it's like to be an adult.
Yeah.
So I don't think that turning the lights off, they're just going to walk by. Coming to the house and getting a piece of fruit, probably demoralizing.
Just give them money. Just give them $5 or $10. Give them money.
No, I did give the neighborhood kids $8. They were supposed to wash my car. They never did, but I gave them $8 anyways, just so they could be happy. The neighborhood kids are kind of crazy. Baseball. Let's talk some baseball because we're all baseball people. Uncle T, since I started with you and your shirt, I think I'll give you the first crack here. Who's going to win it all? Who's coming out of the NL? Who's coming out of the AL? And can you start with what's going to happen with the Braves?
Yeah. If you had asked me a month ago, I mean, I would have said it's clear cut the Braves, and I still think they should be the favorite. However, obviously, JT might have been a better guy to start with because he knows more about the Atlanta side. But if Fried can come back and be, you know, somewhat what Fried is, and you've got Strider, you clearly got plenty of offense. Now, I don't think they're going to get through these first couple downs. It's really good that they're able to, you know, sit this first round out. But I still think they're the favorite. Now, I do also have a future. I don't know. Holden, you don't remember. I think JT might. So I bet a future parlay back during the NCAA tournament during the Final Four. I took Connecticut Huskies to win the college tournament. It was, again, there were 3 bad teams in the Final Four with them, if you remember, because of the upset. So it was like 4-1. It was not a great number. Then I added the Nuggets at 9-1. And then I've got the Braves, and I think they might have been 7-1 at the time. So it was like $50 to win like 3,000. So I do have a vested interest on, you know, the Braves to win it all. So I will say the Braves. However, I think the whole year – DFS-wise, the team I always thought, JT, we've had a couple of them, right? Texas and the Braves. And the other team is the Astros. Now, I know the Astros just snuck in, but now that they're in, I think they might be able to do a little bit of something, right? They just got in. I don't know. There's something to be said about that, I think. The experience and stuff. I would say Houston might be a team to look out for. And in these first series, like, you know, Texas, they came through and won at Tampa Bay. I don't think Tampa Bay was very good all year long. Their offense really never did it for me. So I don't know. The short answer, Holden, is I think it definitely is Atlanta's to lose. I don't like the Dodgers at all. I just don't think the Dodgers have enough pitching at all. And I think, so for me, I would still stick with Atlanta.
JT, let's talk a little baseball here. Before you do, I do want to say game 1 of the Rangers-Rays series in St. Pete drew 19,704 fans, the smallest postseason crowd since Game 7 of the 1919 World Series, which was fixed between the White Sox and the Reds. Think about that for a minute. They are getting a new stadium, and also that doesn't count the pandemic season when they played in Dallas or suburban Dallas, but that's an anemic 19,704 for a playoff game. Come on. Anyways, JT.
Well, that game started at 3:00 on a Tuesday in Tampa, and Tampa, you know, usually draws pretty low. So the first thought I had was, well, 19,000 people. That's, you know, it's probably an upgrade over their regular season attendance. But I guess maybe the Texas fans didn't travel. I know the Braves have been selling out every game during the regular season and in the postseason. And when the World Series was here, we got a lot of travelers from Houston. So start with the American League, because I think that's easier. I think the Orioles are the most complete team in the American League in terms of pitching, bullpen, offense. I think, man, Texas's pitching. They got a huge game out of Jordan Montgomery today. For him to go, I think he went 7. I think he went 7 innings. He may have even gone a little bit longer than that. No, I think it was 7, and then it was Chapman and Leclerc. That is massive for them to take game 1 of that series on the road. They're all on the road, but now they just have to outlast Tampa Bay one more game. Tampa's hurting in the offense. They're hurting at starting pitching. They've been decimated by injuries. Their strength is really their bullpen. Got off to a very hot start offensively to start the year, but then cooled off tremendously. And they're starting guys like Curtis Mead and Taylor Walls in a playoff game. That's just a tough spot to be in. Houston, I think there have been, obviously Justin Verlander's faced this his whole career about the questions about the postseason, but now Framber obviously is a guy who's an ace, but after him, Verlander is kind of 50-50. Javier's been terrible all season long, and the bullpen has been weak, and there's some holes in that offense. There's some guys that just have not hit all that much. I think Texas's offense is the most dangerous of the offenses left, but I think they'll struggle even if they can get past Tampa Bay. They'll struggle with pitching. So I think the O's, I would say, a slight favorite in my mind to come out of the American League. It's tough because they're all young; they haven't been there before. They're going to be tried here, but I would say talent-wise, them. I don't think the National League is nearly as wide open as Uncle T does. I think offensively, the Braves are a good bit ahead of the next offense in the National League. The pitching is just it's been decimated by injuries. The bullpen hasn't been good. Fried, they expect to be back, so you'll have Strider, who will have an opportunity to show that he's a big game pitcher, and he's a playoff pitcher. So you'll need him. You'll have Fried, then you'll have to have a bullpen day, and that could go any which way with some of these guys out of the Braves bullpen, depending on who you get in the second round. I think the Phillies are obviously going to the World Series last season, coming back. They picked it up second half of the season. I think they're a tough out. I don't have a lot of faith in the Brewers. Especially now with
Woodruff out, right?
Woodruff injured, right? He's not going to pitch in the wild card. Not that, Arizona's pitching actually now matches up pretty well, to be honest, with Milwaukee, because you'll have it's interesting what they're doing, starting Brandon Pfaadt in game 1 and leaving Gallen and Kelly for games 2 and 3 for the must wins. And then the Dodgers pitching, same thing as the Braves, really decimated by injury. Their bullpen is, I think, maybe along with Milwaukee, the strongest in the postseason on the National League side. But there are some massive, massive holes in that Dodgers lineup once you get past the top 5. To expect to get, they're going to need big performances out of guys like Kike Hernandez, Ahmed Rosario, Hayward. Outman's had a nice rookie year, but I think it's wider open than I'd like it to be as someone who's got tickets throughout the playoffs.
Guys, it might be that time to go and talk some football. Uncle T, are you okay with that?
Yeah, well, coming off a couple of good weeks. I can't wait to get back into the football this week. It's been a couple of good weeks for me, which usually my main slate, I told you guys last week on the show, usually the main slate hasn't treated me well. Snyder Soldiers. It hasn't treated me as well over the last couple of years. Showdowns where I've been really crushing are the shorter slates. But no, last week was really good. And this week will be interesting, Holden and JT, because of the games that are on Thursday and then Sunday night, right? We won't have any Lawrence or Allen. And then, running backs are really decimated from the standpoint of the main slate up top. No CMC, no Pollard, no Jacobs. So I think it will be more interesting main slate this week than what we've had.
Let me say this before we even get into the slate. I have put my nuts and all my privates out on the table by going all in on Brian Robinson Jr. this week. So this could be my last week on the bet side if this does not pay off. Brian Robinson Jr. I'm looking forward to him. I'm betting his over 62.5. I'm betting 1 touchdown. I'm betting 2 touchdowns. I'm betting 80 plus yards, 100 plus yards. I am just all over this Brian Robinson Jr. because he's talented, and B, he's
not even on the main slate.
I know. I'm just letting you know.
How many units are you comfortable with here?
I think 3. My unit size in bets is more than it is in DFS these days.
I'm just saying, I might want to grab one of your plays and make a little money.
I'd say there's a good 4 units. Very irresponsible to put 4 units on anything, but this is a conviction play. Usually I save this.
Do you have them already in there?
Yeah, I save this for Derrick Henry against the Jaguars usually. But I just think Brian Robinson Jr. He could be in the best spot of the year. Who does not want to face guys? The Bears. JT, there's no bigger disaster in the NFL right now. Weird things happen, but these guys have lost like 14 straight games, and they can't do anything right. They can't even protect a 21-point lead in the second half. Brian Robinson Jr.
I'm looking for your plays now.
Yeah, they're all well. You could probably got to go under player props. I'm also on the Texans for the 4th time this year. They just keep winning. Yeah, there's a lot.
That's a lot of plays there, Holden.
You
could sweep the board, or you could go over if it doesn't.
Well, that's
work
what I'm saying. If there's an over, it's over. Like done. Like I'll be working at Amazon fulfillment services.
I'm pulling for you.
Yeah,
okay, well,
thank you. Confidence meter and Brian Robinson Jr. getting at least 63 yards this week, guys. Just 63. Washington running back against the Bears.
I'd feel more comfortable with Bijan.
Oh, no shit. Bijan Robinson. I get what you just said. I get it.
I'll never root against you ever. But I haven't looked into the game nearly as much as you have, to be honest. So I don't know.
Yeah, I really didn't look into it, Uncle T. I just looked at the line and I said, you know what? That's too low.
I like it for what it's worth. I like it. The Bears, man, yeah. I will say though, they were my second highest on stack on Sunday was a Fields with either Komet or DJ Moore. I wrote him up in my article, my contenders article. All the plays except for one absolutely smashed in that article. So that was positive. But yeah, I think Robbins, especially unless you expect Sam Howell to carry them. I mean, I think McLaurin could be in position to have a good game here. Washington's defense is an interesting play on that showdown slate. Everyone keeps talking about Jahan Dotson. I don't know. He's just in the mix there, right? He's in the mix, whereas Brian Robinson Jr. is pretty much the guy at running back so far this year. So I like that.
They're a pretty good favorite too, right? Aren't they favored by 7 or 8?
They gotta be.
I think the only thing you got to avoid there in general, not that you couldn't get there this way either, but you got to figure Washington's going to get the lead, right? And then I think these plays look really, really good. If somehow they got down 10-0, 14-0, I don't think it makes them as appealing, right?
Well, you have to take that into account, and he would say that.
Yeah. What I'm saying is I like your game theory there. I think they will get ahead.
5.5, 6 is the spread. And then you know what else? I'm glad you brought up game theory because I had an interesting conversation with Stats and JBC about this, about game script. And they both said, dude, game script is a bunch of shit. It makes no sense. And all I hear around this industry is, well, you got to predict the game script in order to figure out how a game is going to go, as opposed to just trusting the numbers. And I would say if you're trying to predict an NFL game, you might not even be right 50% of the time. But do you use game scripts in order to build your teams? JT.
I mean, obviously in Showdown, I think, like, I understand what they're saying and I understand what you're saying, right? They're saying, if I understand, because I've heard this, now for a little bit, that they build that in. They take all the Vegas numbers, they take a lot of different factors and build it in and come up with what they come up with, and then they trust it, which is a good way to do it. I think for Showdown, if you played last night's Showdown a couple of different ways with different game scripts, let's say you had, let's say you did 150 lineups, and you wanted to play 35 as if the Seahawks absolutely rolled them, you probably did pretty well. You weren't going to get those lineups from projections because I was running them. I played 40, something like that, 30. I don't know, whatever I did last night. And I didn't do very well. I lost some money because I didn't have that, even though it made sense when you think about it, how bad the Giants had been. Really the only competitive time they've played, and it was barely competitive and a half, was against the Cardinals. So I can see it both ways, but I do think, like, when you look at a Sunday slate, right? Let's take, for example, the Cowboys game against the Jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of people were interested in Pollard or whatnot, or just any Cowboys game so far this year. That defense is so good. If that defense is going to score 2 touchdowns a bunch of times this season, then a lot of their skill position players are going to become very difficult to play. Other games, and that game on Sunday where all of a sudden it blows out and New England's not even in play, right? But it's their defense doing all the work. So I do think game scripts can matter. If, like you said, if you get the right script, then you're in pretty good shape.
Uncle T, I think that's something that was actually, it's still used a lot. I think it really kind of hit its zenith a few years ago. And at this point, you just got to trust the numbers, in my estimation.
Yeah, I think I agree almost everything what JT said. I probably use it. I use it with the DFS probably, maybe even to a fault probably. But he's right about the Dallas thing specifically, because I actually had Pollard and the defense with Ayuk in the late slate. I had three players left, 3 positions left. I didn't have CMC on that team that I had that was crushing. It was with my Chicago stack with Fields and DJ Moore in that group. And I ended up getting hurt because Pollard put up, 7 or 8 points, CMC on his 4th touchdown. Everything but the Millie, I was shipping 5 single entry tournaments until the 4th CMC touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how that late that was. So if I would have, again, I know we're getting kind of off the road a little bit, but it goes into the theory a little bit, like JT was saying, though. So I did have thinking Dallas would get the lead via the run, maybe run Pollard, and the defense might get a score or maybe some sacks or whatever it may be. So we got the defensive scores. Pollard did nothing. I could have pivoted to Jacobs, who put up a really good game. But I didn't, and I didn't have CMC on that team. I had a lot of CMC. I just didn't have him on my main team. So I don't know. I think if you go game theory and you stick with it, clearly you're not going to be right all the time. But when it hits and it goes back and forth how you think, I mean, think about that. What was it, the Miami game? That it didn't go quite as well with that. I actually was all over Buffalo this week. That was one of my games that I did bet. Actually, I bet it two different ways, 2 different areas. I liked him quite a bit. I thought Miami was getting way too much buzz, way too much, whatever. I thought Buffalo was going to handle them. It was a division game at home. Buffalo hadn't looked great. But we didn't get the back and forth there that we thought, right? Tyreek Hill, we'll talk about him here in a minute, is maybe a bounce back game. They held him 5 for 58, 10.8 points for him, but for his price tag, he didn't pay off. So Holden, I do look at game theory quite a bit. I don't look at it as much in any other sport, but I think you need to in football.
Yeah, I don't mind it in Showdown. I just think that
Showdown, I think it's a must. Yeah, you almost have to.
Yeah, but trying to think of adding more elements that you have to get right to something is always tough. It's not easy to predict exactly how a game is going to go. Even on a side, just in a pick'em. So it's a lot of different ways it can go. Anyways, let's get into the slate here. 10-game slate. 10-game slate. We do have the Chiefs. We do have the Eagles on the slate. We do have Miami on the slate. So there are some high-powered teams. This Kansas City, Minnesota game is this is going to be the nut spot, right, Uncle T? We start with Patrick Mahomes. We'll start at the quarterback position, 8,200. Hurts is behind him at 8K. Lamar's 7.8. against this atrocious Pittsburgh team. Then you see Kirk Cousins at 6,900. He's going to be a little popular, isn't he? I mean, in this game, inside, at home, 1 o'clock times, I would think it's probably it's got to be a 1 o'clock game. This would be the only time.
It's a late game.
It is the late game? All right, so 4 o'clock game. Yeah, because the Chiefs aren't playing in a 1 o'clock game again. That's it. It's over. So anyways, Uncle T, what are you doing with this Chiefs-Vikings game, and what about the quarterbacks at first look?
Yeah, so one thing to also mention, obviously, it came pretty fast here, week 4, right, or 5, whatever we're in.
Yeah.
The buys are already here, right? So we already have the bye week, so we got only 6 early games and then 4 on the late slate. But Mahomes sitting there in that game, you're right. There's a 53.5 total there, and then I think you've got a 51 or 50.5 total in the Philly Rams, and then the early slate, Miami and the Giants are 49.5. So if you're just looking at totals, you would think those games and teams would at least garner a lot of the attention, right? And try to take a look at those. As far as quarterbacks specifically, I've been not using Tua at all so far this year. And I know he had a couple big games early. I kind of like going back to Tua here in this game. The Giants on a short week, they were embarrassed. Now they got to go on the road. I think, they go to Miami, and then I think next week they go to Buffalo. I think things could turn south real quick here or they're already turning south on our coach up there. Was it Dable and the Giants? But I like Tua in this spot. I think the only safe or kind of things I'm a little worried about there is the attention of Mostert and Achane. I guess, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, they're Achane. They're just getting so much volume. It was more Achane than Mostert last week, but that would be the only concern a little bit, is that maybe, maybe the touchdowns, and they're going to score a lot. I would have to think that Miami's going to have one of the bigger implied team totals for sure. But that'd be the only worry there. Man, Richardson, his price tag's up to $7K. I mean, he's been pretty good. Man, that's, he kind of went up to $7K pretty quick. It's in a pretty decent spot against Tennessee. The problem with Richardson is I just never know who to pair him with. Not that you always have to pair him with somebody, a guy like him, but that would be my one worry there. You can clearly go to Mahomes in that game. I would probably take the Mahomes side, the Cousins side instead of the Mahomes side. I'm sorry, because I think Kansas City could get out to the lead, and that's the game you want to go back and forth, right? So I don't have a problem with either one of those. I'd probably side with Cousins. And then the only other guy I got down below a little bit, guys, is Stafford. I got him here early on. I might change my mind, but 5,600 probably maybe in a trailing game script. Again, we're talking about it after we just talked about the topic. He's been decent this year. I don't know, 5,600 feels like he could be in a nice game script and a nice big total indoors.
And then there's CJ Stroud at 6K. Yes, JT, what do you want to look at quarterback first look?
So we were just talking about game theory, and I was laughing because I was thinking about this as I went through the slate today with this Miami Giant game. We just saw the Giants have no answer on the offensive line. They have just completely degraded skill position players. Saquon, we don't know what's going to happen with him, but it doesn't look like the line can protect enough to get played. They do have the highest implied total. They're also the biggest favorite at 11 points in a home game against the Giants. And that makes it interesting because you would like some of these guys. Obviously, one of the team with the best set, I think, right now, early in the season of skill position players. So that's going to be interesting. I've got the quarterbacks ranked. This is early in the week, and it's going to change. I got Hurts number 1. That game looks like it's going to be a lot more competitive than the Miami Giant game. I've got Mahomes right behind him, real close. Looks like he's going to be a little bit lower owned. And then I go down a little bit and look at who I can play that's going to get me a savings if I wanted to be a little bit different. I think you could play Josh Dobbs at 5,200 against the Bengals. Bengals' second game on the road. Bengals did not look good, but now you've got an offense that's going to throw. The Arizona offense doesn't look all that bad, to be honest. I mean, they put up a bunch of points against San Francisco. They beat Dallas. Now they get a home game against the Bengals, who do, I agree with you, Uncle T. I had a lot of Cincinnati stacks last week, and that was a bad game, and Burrow may be a lot more compromised than we were led to believe. I've got two in there at 7,100. My concern, same as Uncle T. I think they're going to score a bunch of points. I just don't know how many are going to be through the air. But 7,100, I'm fine with having some. I have Cousins in there. And then the last guy, and I'm going to play him, and I don't care, is Zach Wilson at 4,900 against the Denver Broncos, because that was my theory in picking the Bears last week. Is my lower priced, lower owned stack was this Denver team can't stop anyone. They managed to stop the Bears a little bit. Wilson looked okay. It is a short week. But, the other thing, people are going to think about this and say, well, the Jets defense is so good. Okay, sure. They're going into altitude now. So I think this is going to be a close game. I think this is a game the Jets can win. I'm kind of high on some of the Jets' skill position players, and I'll take stabs at Zach Wilson on 4,900 because you could do a lot with that lineup, and there's a lot of – I think you can also pay up because I've identified in a bunch of ranges, but I'm definitely going to have some Zach Wilson.
All right, so let's go to running back. I think it's an interesting week here where you can just fade the top guys and live in that 6K range. Montgomery, 6,600, hosting Carolina. Not expecting another 35-point performance, but Achane is 6,100. They haven't priced him up. Mostert, 6,200. He's sitting right there. And the other guy that nobody talks about, James Conner. And maybe he's more of a cash play than anything else because of his floor, because he hasn't just blown up yet. But James Conner's in there as well. Uncle T, I see living in this 6K range. Your thoughts here on running back?
Yeah, the running back spot, if you go back on these shows the last few weeks, guys, you know kind of where I've gone the last couple of weeks, which is I like to double spend up at wide receiver. And I haven't had I did have a couple CMC teams last week because we had a little bit of value. So I did have some of the higher price guys. I did have Pollard and Dallas as a combo on one of my teams. But this week, with those guys out, again, CMC, Pollard, Jacobs, ETN, Cook, just not in any kind of order, but none of those guys are on the slate. I mean, Bijan Robinson against Houston, 7,700. If I was going to spend up, I kind of like him quite a bit. I don't think we've seen by far his ceiling game yet, and he's been fine. It's just a matter of how much they want to get him involved, right? He's been much, much, much more involved than Gibbs from Detroit, right? That's kind of really let some people down. Not me. I haven't been on Gibbs at all. But so I think Robinson's definitely fine. JT, I think I know where you would go here on this guy, but Kamara, we didn't know what to expect last week. It was a fairly high price tag. Didn't know what they were going to do. I can't think that we're going to get, or he's going to get 13 catches, right? Is that what he got? Wasn't it something silly? I got to look it up. 12 or 13 catches, put up like 21 fantasy points.
Yeah, it's a bunch of targets.
Now, again, there's no way we can count on that, but he is in a pretty good matchup here. I don't think New England's any good. I think New England gets way too much credit for still being decent from a fantasy perspective or their defense. I don't think New England's any good. So I don't mind him at all, but and even Henry against my Bengals last week, I thought the Bengals would do a lot better job on Henry. Coming off the good game there against Indy, 7,500. I don't mind him either, but Achane and Mostert at 61 and 6,200. That's going to be a situation now every week where it looks like right now Achane is the man, where Mostert had 2 or 3 really good games. So I'm a little more unsure on what I'm going to do with the running back spot, Holden, at least this early in the week, just because of the guys that are out, and I just think I'm going to spend up at the wide receiver position.
What you got here, JT, running back? Give me some names.
Yeah, you mentioned David Montgomery. I think he's in a great spot once again, 6,600 fair price. He's clearly the number one back in Detroit, and he gets the opportunities in the red zone as well for those touchdowns. Maybe see something similar to what Jamal Williams did last year with getting all the touchdowns right. I like that. Mentioned Breece Hall, 5,400. He got 12 touches the game before the game against the Chiefs. They got down big against the Chiefs early, so he wasn't as involved. But, the Dolphins ran for 400 yards against this Broncos team. Khalil Herbert went for 100 yards against the Broncos last week. I think Breece Hall, I think this is a good breakout game for Breece Hall. You guys both mentioned B. John Robinson, 7,700. The interesting thing here, Tyler Algio's usage way, way down. He is hardly on the field now. Yeah, they put him on the field a bunch in the first quarter, but then they ran with him. He was getting 15, 18 targets, plus catches out of the backfield. He's just so explosive. This is an absolute smash spot against Houston because they don't want to throw the ball. Alvin Kamara, 6,300. The Patriots not only got wrecked by Dallas, but they are now down two of their best interior defenders, potentially for much longer than this 1 week, which is terrible for them. But 6,300, he got 14 or 15 targets out of the backfield last week. I think he could smash here at low ownership. His ownership right now, early in the week again, but projecting for just right around 10 to 12%. So I like that. Here's the thing with Mostert and Achane. The usage is the same. Achane just did more with that usage. He got into the end zone twice. They both had, I think it was 8 carries, 7 carries, and then 5 or 6 targets apiece out of the backfield. If you play Mostert over Achane this week, you're getting a 25% ownership discount, meaning Mostert's going to be 25% of the ownership of Achane at 7%. Not that I'm not going to play Achane because I think it's a great matchup for both of them, but I do think being a little bit heavier on Mostert and taking a chance that he's the guy that gets in the end zone a couple of times this week is the way to go. And then I have Connor on my list as well. Holden, obviously, he's been not just seeing what opposing running backs have done. Kyron didn't do so well in that matchup, but last week certainly Henry. But he's been a workhorse. He's a clear bell cow in Arizona. There's only about 5 or 6 of them in the NFL. And if you can get a guy that's going to get 20 to 25 touches at 5,800 at running back, I'm going to take it. So I like Connor as well.
All right, let's keep moving on here, my friend. Both of you, my friends. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek up top this week. We've got A.J. Brown, who's just been unstoppable the last couple of weeks. Jamar Chase at Arizona. So these are the big guys up top. Amon-Ra is there as well. Puka Nacua, who had a 1 down week, bounced back last week, and this could be a shootout against Philadelphia. So there's somebody else. As I move down, Zay Flowers, Pittsburgh just can't cover anybody. I love Nico the Freako Collins. This is a ceiling play. And Tank Dell is going to be there as well, guys. Maybe Jordan Addison with a little bounce back after a quiet week last week. Kid's got all the talent in the world. You can go farther down if you want to save money with a Marvin Mims, Rashee Rice. Uncle T, I've gone to you first on the first two, so I'm going to go to JT this time at wide receiver. JT, talk to us here. Top, mid-tier, lower tier. Is there a wide receiver we have to get in this week?
I think it's Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson at 6K against the Broncos is one of the best plays on the slate. He's looking not super low owned, I don't think. I'm trying to find where I have the Jets here. Yeah, all right, Garrett Wilson, 12% ownership is what I'm looking at. Again, it's Tuesday. This will change if people start to hop on and realize how bad the Broncos defense is. Right behind him, man, 2 smash weeks in a row for A.J. Brown. Love the guy, but I think it's Devonta Smith this week at 7,400. I think it's a perfect spot to pivot when people are going to go back to Brown. Not that he can't play Brown. I'm just saying Devonta Smith. Same thing with the Rams situation. Obviously, everyone has seen Puka Nacua. Now, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made with Cooper Kupp, which is, no, he can't continue. In that scheme, that number 1 wide receiver can continue to have success. But I think Tutu Atwell at 5,300 is a decent play here this week. Dell is the guy for the Texans this week. Tank Dell, 4,800. It was Nico last week. Nico was in my Contrarian Contenders article as well at 5,100. Got him at 3% ownership. This week I'm going to jump back on Dell because Nico is going to face A.J. Terrell. And as they watch that tape from last week and they see only 3 targets for Dell, these guys don't look much further than that. They're going to focus on Nico Collins, and I think it's another upside spot for Tank Dell. I love Flowers, Holden. I love that you mentioned him.
Love him.
Saw last week, this is why Nico Collins was in my article, and why I played him at 3% is because top wide receivers against the Steelers have just been smashing. I like him at 5,500. Tough decision here with Miami. We know what Tyreek Hill can do. Jalen Waddle hasn't got going yet. Jalen Waddle's just 7,500. He's going to be 1% owned. I'm going to play both of them, but I'm going to have a lot more than 1% of Jalen Waddle. I think Jefferson is probably the better spend up of anybody on the slate here in this matchup, 9,400. I've got the Arizona wide receivers.
Marquise, you gonna leave me any, JT? God damn, you gonna leave me anything?
I'm almost done. Oh, come on. This is usually
that's your job. Like, leave Uncle T a couple.
This is
usually, hey, when a man is on a roll.
I was gonna let him go, but he's picked like 6 of my guys already.
Well, you could talk about those guys too. Why interrupt his flow?
Then you could just say, "Here's where I agree." Rattle them off quickly.
Oh, I love agreeing with
whatever you have to add. Marquise Brown and Michael Wilson is 3,700, getting a lot of run there with Arizona. Obviously, a big game last week, but he's had targets every week. And again, Cincinnati hurting. And then the last guy I'll mention as a cheap guy, again, the Jets theme, Alan Lazard at 3,900.
Oh. You and I are going to crush this week. Is all I know.
Leave you anything?
No, if I could show you my list right now, I was going to mention a few of these guys. You mentioned like 7 of them. I like that though. So let me start at the top, I guess. Obviously, I think I've played Jefferson every week, and I think I'm going to have a team or two of him. I usually play 6 to 8 lineups a week on NFL. I don't play 150, as you guys know. I'm always going to have a couple lineups with Jefferson. I was not on Tyreek last week. I am going to go back. Again, I agree with you, JT. Waddle is definitely – he's going to have one of these games where he'll have 6 or 7 for 135 and 2 scores. So I agree with you. I do think that's coming. The one guy that you didn't mention that I'm a little shocked you didn't out of the ones was I like St. Brown a little bit here, 7,800 against Carolina. I feel like that's a pretty solid price tag. I mean, he could easily be in the $400 or $500 more expensive, but I like him. Love the switch call on Devonta Smith against AJ Brown. I love them both, but you're right. You're going to go, after the 2 big weeks by AJ. I don't want to say any more. I think the Garrett Wilson price tag here is definitely probably one of the more mispriced guys, maybe of the year so far. And I get why the price decrease is there in a way, but $6K in this game environment. And I love pairing him with Wilson, like you said. So I like him quite a bit. I've got Collins, I've got Flowers, I've got Atwell. The Arizona game you mentioned, Marquise Brown is getting a lot of targets. So if the only worry about that game right now is I don't know what to expect from Cincinnati. Clearly, they've looked really bad. But as you guys both know, and I'm not advocating, I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked if this happened. Cincinnati may find it. I am definitely worried about Burrow. There's no doubt about that. But NFL, as you guys know, is a week-to-week league. 1 week or 2 weeks, you write a team off, then all of a sudden they put up 35. I'm not saying that might happen, or that would happen here, but it wouldn't shock me. So if that game gets into a back and forth, I think that Cincinnati-Arizona game, you got a lot of pieces in that game for sure. I like the Lazard call. And then Rashee Rice, 3,600 at Minnesota in that Chiefs game. I kind of like what I've seen from this guy the first couple of weeks. And I think as these weeks tick off, I think he could be a guy that, again, they've got all these guys that aren't very good right now, right? We call the dust balls, MVS and Tony and all them guys. I kind of, Rashee Rice, he's a cheap piece in a game that's going to have points. So, but the Flowers call, I really like Flowers, 5,500 at Pittsburgh. That's a really, really good play at this point.
Everybody should love Zay Flowers. This dude is amazing too. He really is. And Lamar's just locked in on him. Here, back to Rashee Rice. Here's his usage through the first 4 weeks. Okay. 31%, 18%. Last 2 weeks, 51%, 46%. I think as the season goes on, this guy's going to see the field more. And if he stops dropping the football, he's going to be a stud. And he's going to be priced a hell of a lot more where he is right now.
He's a very cheap piece, though, to get into that
I love it. I love the play. Love the play, Uncle T. Tight end, I think Hawkinson's going to have a big week. You can always play Kelsey, but I think Hawkinson's going to have a big week. Kansas City having trouble with the tight end. Laporta's always in the mix. Ertz is in the mix. The guy that I think could have what are you laughing at? He almost had a touchdown. He almost had that touchdown the other night. Would have helped us out in DFS and Showdown. We were all on him, but boy, Uncle T, Tyler Conklin's just staring me in the face saying, "Oh, put me in your lineup so you can afford everybody."
Yeah, I had quite a bit of Conklin the other night, and he did all right for me for sure. 3,200. Kind of going up top, you got Kelsey and Hawkinson in the same game, right? The same, Minnesota KC game. So not sure quite how I'm going to handle that game and how we're going to, kind of break it down from a fantasy. We there's plenty of pieces, as we've mentioned. I'll have to see how I want to utilize both of those guys. But if you're wanting to save quite a bit of money, I think 4,100 for Tyler Higbee. I know at times we've talked about him, maybe me more than you guys. But I think he's in a good spot here against Philadelphia, who sometimes struggles against the tight end position. They had 11 targets last week, 5 the week before. Caught all of them the week before. Hasn't gotten in the end zone yet, but I kind of like Tyler Higbee here. Zach Ertz had a ton of targets and a trailing game script last week. He got a lot of those on the last possession. I will say that because I was watching that game, and we didn't have any Zach Ertz, and he just kept catching balls for 6 yards, caught a ball for 8 yards, caught a ball for 12 yards. And then the only other guy I'll mention is Dalton Schultz. Finally got in the end zone, I think, last week, 3,400 in that game at Atlanta. I think he could be a piece that you could look to.
JT, what are you doing at tight end early in the week?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to go back to Kelsey again here. I think people might have watched that game against Carolina and forgotten how bad Minnesota's secondary is, but that's because it was Bryce Young. And I think Kelsey to Mahomes is a very interesting, or Mahomes to Kelsey is an interesting stack here. I've got Laporta in there. My concern with Amon-Ra St. Brown right now is, yes, he's the top guy there, but there's a lot of weapons there now all of a sudden. And I don't know. I don't love what I think is going to be a shitty pace. I think Detroit's going to roll this team quite easily. So I don't. That's why I didn't mention he'll be in the pool. Zach Ertz, Conklin is a guy that I like at 3,200. Again, I like these jet stacks, so I like Conklin at 3,200. Mark Andrews, 5,500. Same thing with Flowers, right? He's the same price as Flowers, 5,500, and he's a co-wide receiver 1, if you want to call it that, against the Steelers, and they've been demolished by them. And then the only other pairing I'll mention is the tight ends for the Falcons are getting 16 targets a game. Pitts' price is all the way down to 3,300. Jonnu Smith is actually doing more with the ball than Kyle Pitts, and he's just 2,900. So, I'll have some of each, probably more of Jonnu Smith, to be honest.
I like the Laporta call, JT. The thing is, his price tag's getting up there a little bit for me. I love Laporta. I played him a couple times the first couple weeks. I like this kid a lot, and I agree with what you said. That price tag's getting up there a little bit. But
and it's the same thing as Amon-Ra. It's just a lot of weapons there.
Yeah.
But Carolina's secondary has been okay. It's their rushing defense that's been really, really bad. And if I'm going to pick one of those two, for roughly the same amount of targets, I'll have more Laporta at a more difficult position than I will St. Brown. Not that I won't have any, because we all know the ceiling of Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
But
that's your boy.
That's my boy.
All right, guys.
Him and Quinn. Quinn's your girl.
We need to do something new, guys. I know it's early in the week, but we got to give our plays of the day.
You know who
Hey. What are you trying to do here? Because that's Snyder's my guy, number one. I mean,
we got to give out a play of the day on Tuesday?
You're not mocking.
Yeah.
That's going to be real tough.
I must say, no, what I wanted to do is put our faces on
the soldiers.
I like that.
You should get it done. Do you know how to get it done?
Yeah, I mean, I can call Helmet, be like, "Yo, Helmet, help us out here." But yeah, I think we should do it. I love Snyder's soldiers. I love how he did his hair. I love the serious look on his face.
He doesn't fuck around, man.
No, that's what I'm saying. Snyder soldiers, we need more of it.
And the soldiers take no prisoners.
No. And if there was one person to be the face of this organization,
it should be Snyder. Look at that. Clean cut, fade. Man.
So, since it's the first Snyder soldiers play of the week here.
Snyder soldiers. Now we got to invite him on as a guest.
I'm fine. How old is he, do you think?
15. 35. He said 50.
He says fucking
He's
50.
he's a youthful man.
He says 15.
He really is one of the. He may be the best person at RPS. All kidding.
Well, I mean, he tried to kill Mangone on the basketball court, so I'm going to say attempted murder is going to take him out of the nicest guy.
That's not cool. Well, that's competitive. That's competitive. I want that.
Yeah, but I mean, you
I
said he
want
was the
that guy on my
nicest.
side.
I don't think he's the nicest.
I didn't
don't
see
know.
I didn't have that information.
Glock is pretty nice.
Glock
You
is
got him to talk shit to me, but he's pretty nice. You did get
I
Glock.
have a terrible influence, as you know.
The whole birthday conversation really riled up the whole staff here at RPS. Everybody needs to
I
chill
had a
out.
little bit to do with that. That was probably my fault. I had a little behind the scenes part of that. Sorry.
Who is the nicest guy at RPS? Seriously.
I think Snyder's
Probably me, but I'm probably the leader in the
Not
clubhouse.
you either.
How can you not like Uncle T? I literally
Not that I don't like you. You're just
I like
the nicest
everybody.
guy.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You're not
He
the
said
nicest.
that's a good point.
Uncle T's in the mix. Uncle T's in the mix.
There's gotta
I'm
be
literally
somebody.
cut up with everybody, and it's 99%. Like, Holden, I've talked shit with you, and you know I'm just messing with you. People love it.
You got it. You got a little salty every year. I'm just waiting for it.
The
Every
only
year,
reason I got salty.
year
Can I
you
bring
get
it up?
salty, and then you start.
Can we save it for next week?
And then I hear that you're upset, and then I'm like,
We should.
all
We need
right,
to do this. We need to do the soldiers. We should talk next week about who the nicest guy is. Because
You need to leave.
no, I don't need to go anywhere. I can
Well, I
stay.
need to know who the
He
nice
said, I
guy
don't need to
is.
go anywhere.
You're the one that always wants to get going. I mean, I'm
how
I'm
surprised.
proud of
pretty
him.
nice.
He's 6 minutes over right now.
Yeah,
Very proud
you
of him.
actually let us have some conversation.
Helmet's actually pretty nice, I must say.
We haven't
Yeah,
even gotten
but-
to our plays yet. Our soldiers.
No, he's really nice. I think Gary's got a little murderer in him.
I think Stats. I haven't met Stats yet, but we got to get
Great
him
guy.
in the rotation to come on one week. Stats seems like a real good dude.
Rubio.
Rubio's
very
good.
nice.
No,
No?
no, he is. I'm just messing with you.
Bruce.
Now, Rubio looks like he's about 15.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Rubio and Bruce is where I'm, and I think Glock is in there too.
The bigger question is, who do we not like?
Oh,
I mean,
Now we'll put
first of all, we
yeah.
like everyone. The question is nice.
the question is just how little do we like some people?
We might have to save that for next week.
All right. So, anyways, first Snyder Soldiers and the old guys
Holden,
pod.
what did Holden
Tyler
say?
Conklin. Tyler
was-
Conklin,
What did Holden do last year? Who was the RPS member who
who is a murderer?
was
should-
gay? Is that what you did?
I would never do
Something
that.
like that. You did something.
I would never do that. It actually bothers me that people say stuff in the chat. I don't even like that. Everybody should be nice. Nobody should be mean. But I don't remember what I did. I'm pretty sure who was a murderer, and that's what turned it into spread.
No, it was something else. It was kind of funny.
Okay.
That's something else too. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember, but I know what JT's talking about, but I can't remember.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
That it wasn't all that memorable. Sorry.
All right. Whoever.
I used to have a play of the day thing on my screen, but I think they lost it when I quit doing the baseball shows.
All right. What's your Snyder Soldier, Uncle T?
I'm gonna go. There's a couple of them. I don't want to take JT's, but I'm gonna go with Devonta Smith. I'm gonna go with Devonta Smith, 7,400 in that game environment in LA. I think Devonta gets in the box twice, goes over 100 yards.
Oh, that's big, man. All right, let's go. Let's go, Mister. It's JT, not AT.
Show the graphic. There you go.
Snyder Soldier.
Man, Snyder looks good.
I want to be. Which soldier am I? I want to be the guy on the right.
You want to be the guy with the high machine gun?
Holden's definitely in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, I am the big leader. So I do have grenades in my hand. Do you see where he has grenades?
There
The
you go.
mofo has grenades. I'm
There you
totally taking the middle guy.
That may be Uncle T and me getting ready to just pounce on you and get rid of you. It may be a little mutiny that's boiling up there.
I got grenades, guys.
Yeah. Hey, Garrett Wilson,
Yeah.
6K.
We like Jets
Denver.
this week. What could go wrong?
A lot could go wrong,
Yeah.
but you know what? The Bears destroyed them from a DFS perspective. Those stacks were all up in the top 5 of every contest, and I'm going to go with it, baby.
Well, it's wonderful seeing you both. We're at an hour and 9 minutes.
Well, who's your soldier? What the?
I already did it.
His is going to be Thursday night soldier.
Fucking listen.
Who?
Brian Robinson Jr.
Tyler Conklin, Brian Robinson. Listen, if Brian Robinson doesn't go off on Thursday night, it's over for me, guys.
Yeah.
It's the last old guys.
Snyder may be the host next week.
Yeah. Snyder, it could be Snyder's Soldiers.
Oh. Snyder's going to love this episode.
Put up there. I love graphics. We need more graphics.
We need a guest next week.
Let's get
Write down on your to-do list, Holden.
What?
We need a guest next week.
No, so let's just get Stats on.
Or we could bring Snyder as a special guest since we.
Stats is really interesting. He's part of a syndicate, so that's pretty cool. He has a full head of hair like me. Except he looks like, what's the guy from The Sopranos? Paulie Walnuts. He looks like Paulie Walnuts, and he's seen Paulie Walnuts a ton. He's a fascinating individual. I think we should get him on. I think that should be our guest. Stats.
Make it happen.
And who would you guys like to have on later in the season?
I brought Stats up, you donkey. I'm the one that brought him up earlier in the show.
Okay. Snyder. Should we have Snyder on?
We can have Snyder on.
I mean, we got the play of the day sponsored by Snyder.
Yeah, we've got to bring him on.
Not really Snyder, it's his soldiers that,
Gary's old too.
Gary's old.
So
Gary
and Stat.
His beard's old.
God damn, he needs to shave that thing. All right, I'm done talking with you guys. Bye.